We have read about you that you've started your first venture at the age of 17. Tell us a little bit about that, how it shaped you as an entrepreneur, and tell us about your journey.
So when I was 17, I built one of the first e-commerce company in Turkey, sells first-hand and second-hand phones. And then my journey of building products, building solutions for people started.
Most of the founders, they are very obsessed with the product. A lot of founders, what they do is they invest a lot of money in the technology, investment on technology, investment on marketing.
The cost of building things are extremely decreasing. So if you have a small team of engineering, then you can spend your money on the growth, on the partnerships, on the marketing, on the SEO, on the content, on the other things. And in my opinion, because the engineering cost is decreasing, more money will go to the outreach. Like when you see, a company raising like $5 million, they will not need to require that money, that 4 million go to engineering and teams anymore.
Hello, everyone. We all have heard about exits, but very few have actually done it. Before you write your first line of code or build your MVP, you better know how you're getting out. So today, I'm sitting down with someone who has not just built and scaled startups, but he has also exited them multiple times. So he has lived a dream that most founders chase. So I would like to welcome Mr. Sahin Boydas. He's joining us today. Hello, Mr. Sahin.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Sahin, I'll start with your early beginnings. We have read about you that you've started your first venture at the age of 17 when you were in Turkey. So tell us a little bit about that, how it shaped you as an entrepreneur, and tell us about your journey.
Yeah, I started, it's very funny. So I was very lucky to be a computer programmer. From a very, very early age, I had a computer. I started to coding when I was, 6 years old. Like all of my youth, I was just in front of the computer doing coding. I did like few things before, but my first real business that I cooperated was coming from a real need of, I didn't have money. I need to buy a second-hand phone. So then I said, look, I need to buy a second-hand phone, and there was no marketplace. So when I was 17, I built one of the first e-commerce company in Turkey, sells first-hand and second-hand phones. And then my journey of building products, building solutions for people started.
Amazing. So that started like you found the problem and then you decided I want to solve it. So that's amazing. Now, again, you started to build a company that you exited and you got success in that. And that was the project called RemoteTeams, and that was acquired by Agosto. So I would like to touch base on that. Like, how did you find the gap and how did you start? Like, how was your journey from building that product to scaling it and then eventually exiting it? Because most of the founders and the entrepreneurs, they know what the problem is. They are very excited to solve it. But when it comes to long-term scaling and getting to the point where you can exit, it's kind of a challenging part. So can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, and my life is, I'm in a group called Post-Exit Founders and Super Founders. And I'm the Austin chapter lead in Post-Exit Founders. I talk with exited founders all the time. It's just a very interesting fate plan of insane hard work, luck, network, all combined. So I want to start just before the exit, a little bit something different. So what I feel in life is if you look at my product count profile, I had 12 products I launched. And I think 3 or 4 of them was in the top 5. I think one of them was top 2 or top 3. And then if you look at, since I'm 17 years old, I might probably launch 40 serious products. So I'm always in this trend. What is the trends? What is the world is going? What is the tool sets we can use now? And always trying to wave that, maybe not the big wave, but the one wave behind it. I hope I will jump on the big wave one day. And the way I do this is very interesting as well. I use an app called Feedly. And in this app, since I know myself, at that time I had my own app. Now I'm using Feedly. I follow 80 sources. So anything I start in life, from let's say now I am doing AI company. I follow AI product launches, AI fundraising, AI this, AI that. So I follow the world and I tell this to people. It sometimes sounds crazy. I probably see 500 to 1,000 article titles every single day for the last 25 years. So it's like millions and millions and millions of article titles I read, like from the Feedly. So I'm really good on detecting the trends. But of course, there's some trends that I have no interest, like crypto. I'm not a crypto guy. I'm not a gaming guy. Like there's a lot of, I have got more like B2B or B2C in the past, e-commerce, B2C, B2B, and now it's going to AI. And then RemoteTeam was, I saw the trend of remote actually way before remote was a remote. I always had remote teams, always in my life. Like when I was in my first company, 17 years old, we had Skype and so we didn't have Skype Pro, we have ICQ and I teams around the world. So I was managing a remote team all of my life, and I had only one office that I had to go a little bit, but I thought offices are prison of the mind. So I never liked to go to an office. And other than that one small thing, I never had an office in my life. So I always had remote teams. So I built a lot of expertise on managing the remote teams, but also the back office, like payments, compliance, documents, birthdays, religious holidays in that area, all the local holidays, like things like that. But I was doing this manually. And then I said, okay, this whole trend of remote was coming, all the Slack, all the Zoom tools connecting together, and people are becoming more remote. And then I was sitting in 2019 in August in Stanford Startups Accelerator, and everyone was, I have a person in Germany, I want to hire him, what should I do? I have a person in England, what should I do? And I said, oh my God, the time of remote team arrived. And I bought the domain name, RemoteTeam, in a crazy story. I sold the domain name. I said, I should buy this domain name. I put all of my money, including I had no rent money left when I was buying RemoteTeam name. And then many years later, it became, I think, one of the best names that you can buy. And then COVID hit. We cooperate the company. COVID hit. And then we launched it on February. And COVID hit, and then we grow to hundreds of thousands of companies, like in a record time. And I was become like one of the top 5 companies in that, like Deal, Remote, maybe a few more. But when you see the market maps of VCs, RemoteTeam was always there. And then there's this M&A story happens. I think when you are extremely connected in Silicon Valley, what happens is, and I will tell you a real story, 2 of my investors were users of my product, Adam Nash and Jude Comido. And they were also an investor in Gusto. So when the world has trends, so Gusto was looking to get into the international payment space faster because they were very only one state kind of focus, because at that time people just hiring people in that state in 50-mile radius, right? So then the world COVID becomes, then you become multi-state. So guys did a lot of products and registrations and other stuff. And then you have a lot of people doing international, because if you are hiring someone from other state, why you are not hiring someone from Canada, Mexico, or if you're hiring them, why your talent pool is not the whole world. So in that thing, they had to buy a sort of a company like this, and Deal was extremely overpriced. Remote was extremely overpriced. And when they look at the tech, vision, and the technology, and also the tech stack compatibility, and we had 4 big visions. Then 2 of my angel investors were an angel investor in Gusto, and then they introduced us love in first sight. And at that time, I was getting a term sheet. I had a term sheet. And then I said, okay, if you guys match the term sheet, I would love to work in a huge company and scale RemoteTeam to like hundreds of thousands of people. And Gusto is a great company as well.
Amazing. It's great to know insights about how you started and then scaled it. So I'll take you back to the initial days of building this remote teams. Of course, the domain name is fantastic. It's something that paid off, of course. But, we're also a technology company. We started our bootstrap, and we helped a lot of products and startups to, have the company cash flow positive. Now, this is one of the challenges that most of the founders who come to us, or let's say we meet on the regular basis, we face this concerned that in the early days to, bootstrap a product and take it to the level where you can qualify it for the external investment. How was that journey like? Like, how were you managing the finances? Because building a product, that's the biggest challenge. In the initial days, you don't have investors. You have to prove, you have to validate the product in the market, and then you have to take it to the next level. So being a founder, running your own company, how did you manage to remote teams to the point where it was qualified to be shown, or let's say displayed or showcased Ghosto team? And how was the early, journey when you started that? Yeah.
So, but when I was doing RemoteTeam, that was my fourth startup in Silicon Valley. So I already have the network of investors. So we launched on October we started in October 2000. We cooperated in October 2019. Then I raised very quickly because this was a very hot market. It's so interesting. Now I am raising money. I need to email people. But at that time, nearly most of my investors come to me. Like they emailed me because when you enter these market maps, but I want to go before that. So what happens is I had my CTO, Adam, amazing engineer. We built a very early version as a beta as a side business at night times. And then, as I said, this is my fourth company. Like we can go to my first company and chat about how you
I would like to go back to the first company because I want to know the early journey.
Yeah. So in RemoteTeam, I was able to raise very quickly $650,000. That was my first initial capital. So that actually gives us our first runway of launching it, getting like 5-6 engineers, paying yourself. But that time I didn't suffer like crazy. Because we started, before we started, I had one investor, Larry Braitman. He invested nearly all of my companies in life. He's a great guy, super angel. I sit down with him. I showed him, Larry, I'm doing RemoteTeam. He said, I want to invest. Larry, I didn't even show you the website. I didn't show you this. I know what you're going to show me. Anything in remote, super hot. I want to support you again. I had an investment like that. It's 1 minute, because of the relationship you have. And then I showed him, he really liked it. Okay, it's good. I had a lot of investors very similar to that situation. So RemoteTeam's fundraising sort of doesn't count to your question of while you are bootstrapping, you have to eat in McDonald's, you have to suffer, and you have to have a magical power to survive in life with all the credit card debt and not having stress, and then build a company on the side and try to get your first money with high energy. That is, I think, the magical founders. But that we can need to go to my first company and then do the whole things. But in my opinion, the fate plan, there's a saying in our countries in Middle East, fate is in love with hustle. Right? It was the Ibn Arabiya word.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We have this popular phrase here in the Middle East for sure.
Yeah.
So I'll take you back to the first company because I want to chat a little bit about that. So a passionate founder starting to, let's say, scale and build something incredible. How did you start and what kind of challenges you faced in those early days? Because by the time you built the fourth company, of course, you were having a vast network of investors and all. But tell us about the first company. How did it go?
Yeah. So this is not a joke. I come to US with $10,000 in my pocket, $10,000. So as a founder, you need to be a hacker in life as well. So I become a roommate with another founder friend of mine, Selçuk. We had such a good time. We were living in one of the cutest place in San Francisco. So what we did is, because we didn't have too much money, we said, Selçuk, we're going to take a risk. We're going to rent a 4-bedroom house and rent 2 rooms out for a higher price so we can decrease it, because we were looking for renting. It was crazy difficult to find. And now there's these big homes. It was $3,600 at that time. Now it's probably $10,000 or $8,000. This is 2012. So we said, there's so much demand. If we find a big place, we will rent 2 homes, rent 2 rooms instantly. And it was really like that. So instead of paying a $2,000 rent, we end up paying $1,000 rent or $750, something so low, because we tell them, guys, you want to get into the restroom, you're going to pay more. Are you okay? Everyone said okay, because the demand was crazy in San Francisco, like a gold rush. I probably It will be like that if the AI goes this speed. So, and then in San Francisco, the coolest thing is you don't need to spend money for food, because in the early days, when I find that you have a lot of meetups that you can go, and if the company is more like Series A, Series B, the food is better. So I didn't spend too much money on San Francisco. This allowed me to actually hustle and suffer. So I start to crash on my friend's office. There was an office here in Sosoma Street, and then try to survive. But if I'm doing that, again in life, I always tell people, like, you need a little bit financial cushion. This is a very difficult world, and you don't know if you will be successful or not. And there's a lot of playbooks in this. This game is a playbook game. So there's a technique of how to raise money. There's a technique of how to build product. There's a technique, a playbook of how to grow. Like everything is based on playbooks and a lot of pattern matching and very template-based approach in most of the things. So you need to be really fast on learning these things while showing a product. But in my early days, my first company idea was when I come to US from Turkey. I had 4 companies in Turkey, so I had a little bit experience on building products, but I had no network in Silicon Valley. So I started to build my network. Like I was seriously going to 2 meetups a day, walks with people every day, seriously every day, and in the weekends multiple times. Then I convinced one of my friends to become a sailor. And I said, like, go get these boats, learn how to do it. Let's do more parties in the boat in San Francisco. So I've hacked the networking in San Francisco. Then I didn't have a co-founder. So I went to an accelerator, Founder Institute. And in that Founder Institute, there was a friend who introduced me to my co-founder that was very Americanized. She's from Yale, like an amazing human being, very, very smart, from LA. That was perfect. So I was doing a vertical social network around upcoming movies. And with the data, we were giving to movie studios to do better targeting. So that was like, it's a very difficult business. So it was always like more in credit card debt. Whenever I get the money was gone. It was constantly that suffering of iterations. The way we raise money in Movie Lala, the company name was Movie Lala. We got our first check, $50,000 check, from someone that I did a little bit work, and he gives our first angel money. So that 50,000 was, okay, we can pay some rent, we can pay our hosting, we don't need to go to McDonald's, we can eat a little bit food. And then my co-founder figured out a way to reach Mark Benioff. Mark Benioff actually, he's a billionaire, he's the CEO of Salesforce. And this was pure luck. She went to his office, and as I said, fate, love, hustle. Fate is in love with hustle. She went to the office, and she told the idea to Mark. He said, stop. The guy you just saw was the CEO of Disney, and he just pitched me this idea. I want to support you. I will invest. Like, not invest in that second, but after the meeting, our first money was Mark Benioff. This is like a crazy fate plan. And then that was 100K. And then that helped us to get more investments, because when we say Mark Benioff invested it, like there's a holy shit, like holy crazy, like how we can get that, and then help us to get $1 million, and then more and more. But my co-founder's full-time job was reaching to investors, preparing decks, and then with the way we raise money, in my opinion, when I look back, it was pre-product revenue. We showed progress. Okay, we are constantly meeting with investors, getting advice, and every 2-3 weeks, we have very big things happen. Like, wow, like we had this movie studio interested in it. We did a Facebook integration. Like we had a lot of product and a lot of business progress. And when there's more, slowly, okay, we get Mark Benioff, we get another investor, we get Jim Mulishak, which was the HBO president, like very, very brand names. It just gets a snowball effect. And then we were building the product. So we showed investors a lot of progress. But at that time, this 2012, like people were more, it was difficult, of course, but way less people probably emailing it. So you did a potential investor. You can meet them if they like you a few times. So we had that chance of meeting, showdown process. And they said, actually, we want to have an investor. They said, I'm not sure yet. And then we got a good investor. He says, we got this investor. He says, okay, let me put 25K, 50K. So we had 33 investors in our first company. But we suffer in so many parallel things. My co-founder was doing fundraising. We were living in a place called 16 and Guerrero, which is like, I think, the most homeless people in San Francisco, one of the most homeless. We were paying like $1,500 rent, crashing on our friends, like lowering your life cost as minimum as possible. And in that stressful life, you have to totally forget that. And then building products. And I was building the product day and night alone. And then my co-founder was doing the fundraising.
Amazing. I always use this analogy that being a founder is just you jump off the cliff and you have to assemble the plane before you hit the ground. So you have to figure out a lot of things. So I'll pick up the point that you mentioned about the timing, because trends have changed, right? Before, let's say a few years before, if you have an incredible idea, you could raise money on the idea itself. But right now, as we speak, there is a lot of advancement that is happening on the AI side. So now the trends have changed. So you have to have a validation in the market. Let's say you have to have some early results to prove the investors that this idea would scale or this idea would work. Most of the founders, they are very obsessed with the product. A lot of founders, what they do is they invest a lot of money in the technology. How would you weigh between the different things like investment on technology, investment on marketing? How do they effectively invest based on your experience? If you could give us some insights. Yeah.
If you ask me this question different times in my life, all the answers will be different. There's this saying, first time founders focus on product, second time founders focus on growth. So, but the world has changed a lot. So the way it changes is, in my opinion, there was a trend of future of work, right? And 4 years ago, 5 years ago, future of work was remote team, like remote teams. Now it's small teams. Okay, maybe this analogy was nobody did that analogy, but I'm writing a very long article about this. I'm going to publish it. So the new analogy is small teams. Because for the first time in the history, you still need to be an engineer, but with Replit, with Lovable, you can build prototypes in a record speed. Like I'm building things on Replit that it will take me months and months and months or weeks and weeks. And it gives me in like 10 minutes and it charges me 25 cents. Like the engineering, a good junior mid-level, let's say L3 engineer, let's say it's $5,000, okay? And the hourly rate of that engineer, let's say is $50. This gives you in 25 cents. It's just insane how many people will build products. The guy, the VC partner that was chatting, she said, I built my to-do list app in Replit and it's very customized for me. So this is an unbelievable, like everything we think. So that is the future, in my opinion, is small teams. And we start to see that, like this trend of revenue per headcount. Like, there's $1 million revenue for this headcount. So now, which was great. In the old time, location was a big issue, right? The location is not an issue anymore. We can chat, we have a relationship between each other, and we might be 8,000 miles away from each other, right? And we can build something together. Now, in the old days, if you want to build a unicorn, if you want to build a decacorn, you need to be at least 1,000 people. I don't know the real statistic, but I think most unicorns, decacorns will be 1,000 people plus. So, but now in this world, now there's companies hitting $200 million revenue and they are like 10 people. Lovable, like there are 50 people or less. I don't know the exact, you go to LinkedIn, there's 11 to 50 people. And the amount of revenue they generate is just absolutely mind-blowing. And now we start to see this more and more from the people. So the amount of money in engineering you need is decreasing like crazy. So, and the product speed that you have is just absolutely mind-blowing. Like I ask my engineers to do something, and I know, I have like open source projects, 5,000 GitHub stars. Like I'm a very technical person, coding all of my life. And then I said, okay, this will take like 1 week or like 2-3 weeks. And then they come in 2 days and build even a better feature than I thought. Adam, what the hell? How you did this in the early days? I used Cursor, I did this, and then wow. So the cost of building things are extremely decreasing. So if you have a small team of engineering, then you can spend your money on the growth, on the partnerships, on the marketing, on the SEO, on the content, on the other things. And in my opinion, because the engineering cost is decreasing, more money will go to the outreach. So the CAC, like customer acquisition cost, I hope it will not increase. But in my opinion, like when you see, okay, a company raising like $5 million, they will not need to require that money, that 4 million go to engineering and teams anymore. It will probably go $1 or $2 million on engineering and teams, and the rest you can use it for growth. So in my opinion, everyone needs to find products that you can build it with few people. And I'm talking with so many exited founders every single day in my life. Every single day in my life, I have, other than the weekend, work days, like I am talking with 1 or 2 exited founders, sometimes 3, 4. And all of them are saying, I want to build a small team and make money, and I don't want VC money anymore. So this is the new mindset of small teams and building something with AI. So then, in my opinion, you have to focus your burn rate that, okay, we are only the money is, we need to make enough money to cover our company. So we need to build something profitable very quickly that we can be cash positive, we can grow. So the world of this, okay, I will give you $5 million, $1 million to try a new idea, that world is changing, in my opinion. So the use of funds, in my opinion, should be less on engineering now and more in growth, because the world is, if you grow faster, you attract capital way faster, you attract talent way faster. So the growth becomes more important. In the past, I always spend my money on product and engineering. Now I'm keeping these teams are extremely small and trying to find great use cases, but focusing on more on the growth and bringing people to the product.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with this point that AI has accelerated the speed and the efficiency of building products. So it's 100%. So I will now touch base on the part of investments, because you have been on the other side of the table as well. You've yourself being an angel investor. So as we speak now, today, with these trends, with these AI tools coming in, with the accelerated, growth, let's say if you were to invest in a startup or a company now, what are the key metrics, or let's say, what are the identifiers as we speak based on like what AI has done and all that? What would be your qualifying criteria?
Yeah, so I am a very weird angel investor, okay? I start to invest very early with my 401k. So what I did was, in US, there is this 401k that you can have your retirement money. There's another company called Auto IRA that is an integration with AngelList. So I started to do my first angels through AngelList. At that time, you didn't have good deals. Now in AngelList, you have everything. It's like done. I think we just invest in AngelList is enough. You can find every company there. I'm part of 200 syndicates. Like you can see any company from OpenAI, Discord, Kraken, just you name it. So as a founder, I think this is very funny. Founders have 2 kind of trends, in my opinion, that is, because we make our money through startups, I understand startups a little bit. Of course, the risk. So I invest in startups. But I invest, like my maximum investment spending time was like 5 minutes, even less. Like I decide like sort of instantly. So I look at the deck, or I look at the AngelList, or I look at the investment members. Like it doesn't take me more than 30 seconds to decide to invest or not. And I am a very product-led kind of, like I look at the product, founder, market fit. Now it's all, of course, different, but that's how I started. Now I have a lot of very, very connected people that are good friends of mine that gives me the leads. So in my portfolio, I did 150 investments. My average check size is 25K, but I did 5 sometimes, I did 10 sometimes, I did 50 sometimes, I had even 100 sometimes, but my average is like 25, sometimes 50. It's not like crazy high, but if it's a B deal, D deal, C deal, then I have to go for 100K. And I only look at, and I'm not managing other people's, I do something crazy as well. I never sell the angel investments. So even the after IPO, I put it in Schwab's, it just stays there. And if the company is not going to crash or not going to go down, I just going to keep it. So in 50 years later, of course, if the company is going down, I don't like the product anymore, they go to a total different direction, I just like I'm going to sell it. But my goal in life is I will have enough leverage of enough IPOs that I can do a pledge asset line without using any of my money. I can invest in more startups. And because I will invest in more startups, they will do more IPO. I can create this cycle of landing money and invest in startups like crazy. So that's my goal. And I think if the IPO market opens up, I don't even need to use my own money anymore to invest. I can just land it. So because I'm a big holder, so I like these companies to be part of it. Example, GitLab. I love GitLab. I use GitLab. Cloudflare. I was an investor, I think it's seed or A. So I love that company. I'm obsessed with that company. So I only invest in products that I thought before. Like, okay, this is a good idea, or I thought this idea, or I thought a similar idea. And then I invest in this product market fit, but I cannot do due diligence or anything. That should be investors. I'm like a super follow-on investor. Like I cannot be a first investor. I don't have that. But if they invest, there's some stuff in the round. I join, but now it's a little bit different because I'm in the top 50 in Crunchbase. There's more people writing me as, but this is sort of my card. It's like more Warren Buffett. I want to be part of this company. I want to have a share in this company. I love this company, kind of.
You're kind of a super fast investor, which is ideal because either you say yes or no by just checking out the deck and letting them know. Because most of these companies, founders that I meet, they're in the trap of these, a lot of these kind of firms who try to charge them like hefty amounts of money to prepare the business plans and the pitch decks and all that. So I would just like to touch base quickly, and then we'll move on to the conclusion. If I were to ask you, what are the most effective ways to approach the fundraise, right? Of course, there are different platforms like Crunchbase, LinkedIn, but if you would have to create a sequence like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what it would be, and if you could briefly let us know about that, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
This is an unbelievable thing to believe. I am a cold email guy. I just cold email, but I'm not joking. I just cold email people, and I raise most of my money through cold emails. RemoteTeam was different because it was trending and it was very, very different kind of market. So if I do anything like super trending again, then it will be different. But what I do is I don't like the idea, like a founder should be able to do a business plan. If you are hiring someone to do a business plan, it will be very tough for me. Like you need to be a good business person. Okay, there's too many itty-bitty details on creating this business model, but you have to, in my opinion, put the time. Like, I think you need to learn that. You need to build a business model. Of course, there is so crazy, so you can hire someone to do that, at least the final touches or the crazy details that you need to do. But at least in my opinion, as a first-time founder, you have to do your own business models. Now we have Gamma AI. The guy will say you need to find a person to do the decks, but not anymore. Gamma AI is ridiculous. It's like a magic. It's really like magic. And now in the world of Gamma AI, you can just use Manus or OpenAI and just create a pitch deck. So what I do is my techniques are I customize the emails for investors. Like I input there, I do deep research now, and I said, okay, customize, this is my idea, customize the pitch for that investor and do like thousands of cold emails.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing the incredible insights, and we'll put your LinkedIn profile link for the viewers and listeners if they want to get in touch with you. So I just wanted to take your closing remarks because you are on a mission to fund education of 10,000 engineers and lawyers from Turkey, which is great. So tell us a little bit about that and any closing remarks if you would like to share for our audience.
Yeah, of course. Like that's sort of not my full-time business, but more like giving back. So I had so many people in my company. So in RemoteTeam, we had I think 10 key employees, and most of them started their companies. So I had so many engineers started their first job within my company. Now they're in Facebook. So I thought that this kind of trend a lot in my company. So I said, okay, why I don't do it as a sort of a non-profit, help people to become a Silicon Valley engineer. I'm not a believer of founders. I'm more believer of technical engineers, like the CTOs become a founder because I'm a CTO became a founder. So then I have this project of, okay, if you're in any country now, actually, let's say you want to come to us, I have two projects. One is bringing 10,000 lawyers and one is bringing 10,000 engineers. So it's not just the bringing the visa and all of it. It's more like how we can set for you to success to build something in millions of dollars, become like working Funk, which is Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Work in these kind of companies, build your network, and then build a startup or go higher and become an L6, L7 engineer in these companies. So that is my sort of the hobby project. And I have a lot of people right now in the legal and engineering side.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. And thank you for all that information, great insights from multiple startups, multiple exits, sharing a lot about the AI tools. So it was a pleasure having you, Sahin. Thank you so much.